piece of me?
Do I feel lucky? Well, do you, punk?
Good morning, Vietnam! I love the smell of napalm in the morning.
You're gonna need a bigger boat.
I feel the need for speed.
I wish I knew how to quit you.
Love means never having to say you're sorry.
You do. You'll shoot your eye out, kid.
What up, film fans? Happy Tuesday. Welcome to Home Alone. Welcome to episode 328. Welcome to a new episode of the Cine-Men movie podcast. I'm one of your hosts, Juan. I'm joined by the other members of the family.
What's up, folks? This is Ed, coming from the Cine-Men movie podcast.
Jake,
I'm just going to say what's up. How's everyone doing out there?
Coming from Hollywood?
Sure.
Oh.
The little backdoor part of Hollywood.
Backdoor. Man, what a month it's been. What a year it's been. It's crazy to believe that we're just literally, this is one of the last episodes of the year. And then we're on to 2025. Hope everybody out there is having a fun December. Hopefully you're staying away from drones.
Or drones are staying away from you.
We don't talk much politics on this podcast.
It's like Bruno.
We try to stay away from some of that stuff. But what are you guys' thoughts on some of these drones?
It's government.
I gave you my thoughts. I think
it's government.
My personal opinion, so we can put it out there in the ether or whatever how we're calling it, the internet verse, is that it's a government conspiracy in a way to sit there and set us up for whenever the aliens come. But it's not aliens; it's our governments. Because
I can subscribe to that.
I just have this weird feeling that we're getting ready to be approached that weird control the entire world type phase, if that makes any sense.
What do you guys think about a lot of the people out there trying to say that we are about to be attacked and these drones are looking for the attacker?
And that means AI is taking over.
I've seen some crazy stuff. I've seen crazy stuff as far as like people are saying that these drones are looking for nuclear weapons planted by other countries. It's just, and these drones are like the size of a car. Like these are huge. I
seen a video where one crashed out of the sky just last night, and it was huge.
Yeah, and it's like, what's going on? But who knows? You know, we're just here to talk about movies, talk about a little white kid being left home alone, and yeah, well, that's what we're here to talk about. So if you guys did not join us last week for any of our talk on Interstellar, by all means, go back and listen wherever you listen to podcasts at. If you're watching this on YouTube, you can watch us live on Facebook and Emisawa Productions YouTube channel. Go back. We had a fun conversation, me, Zach, and Jay, on Interstellar.
It was very scientific on it, too.
That was kind of about a white kid being left home alone. Kind of.
Yeah, kind of.
I was like, hold up.
And about a mighty Texan going and trying to save the planet.
Was he from Texas, though?
I'm sure them cornfields look like he was from Texas. Speaking of the natives, next year will be completely dedicated to two of our favorites here at the podcast. We'll talk about those episodes a little bit later on. But yeah, Ed, how can they find us on social media?
Too easy. It's right there on your screen. For those who don't have us on the screen, too easy as well. Facebook.com/The Cine-Men Movie Podcast. That is TheCinemenMoviepodcast. Instagram at The Cine-Men Movie Podcast. X is Cine-Men405. And email is at cinemen921@gmail.com. That is CINEMEN921@gmail.com. Please go ahead and send us those emails. We'd love to hear it.
Oh yeah, for sure. Don't forget, you guys can also help out and check out Rodeo Cinema, San Marcos Mexican Restaurants. Um, some more information on Rodeo Cinema, just visit radiocinema.org. OKC Soda can be found at your local Homeland and Crest stores.
Yep.
And don't forget Red and Blues Pizza. And if you want to help us whip up some new equipment, don't forget we'd love to
Send us your money.
introduce some new equipment, whether it be audio, visual. We could even afford to add a shave if you send us some of that.
Hey, I need that more than Ed does. That's why you can't see my beautiful face today. I'm too ugly today.
But yeah, last week we talked Interstellar. Fun conversation. This week, who knows? Who knows what the holidays have in store for us here? Who knows? Ed, it's been a minute. Do you have anything you want to recommend, or have you been watching anything lately?
I have. Honestly, I just got into something today. It is called Vatican Girl. It is the disappearance of Emanuela Orlandi. I just got into that. I'm not even 20 minutes in to the first episode. I listened to. Okay, so in my current job, we travel to work sites and we work at the work site at your job location. We test your life protection systems and we go from there. The guy that I ride with every now and then was listening to a podcast about this girl. I became highly interested in it, and I seen that it had a series on Netflix. So I'm going to watch that documentary series, which, as y'all probably know, I am kind of rare on that. So there's that.
I want to watch that one documentary about who killed Bonet or something like that. John Bonet. Yeah.
Oh, John Bonet.
John Bonet.
But not only that.
Oh.
One of the best Christmas movies ever. Krampus. Gotta love Krampus. Little horror, little Christmas. Goes a long way, man. Friday After Next is also another wonderful Christmas movie. So there is that. But yeah,
there on that one.
Scary movies, been doing those. Harry Potter's been catching up on those again. So yeah.
I've been checking out a bunch of Christmas movies. You guys can follow us on the social media pages. Live posts, physical media posts. Hit us up, Instagram, the Cine-Men Movie Podcast. I've been checking out Hellraiser 1, 2, and 3 so far. I still have a few more to go. I checked out that new Megan Fox movie, Subservience. It's terrible.
Seen that rating.
It's terrible. Red 1 was not as bad as I thought it was going to be. Red 1 is now available on Amazon Prime for you guys wanting to stream it. It's pretty funny. It's decent.
Not good enough. They gave it a 2, man.
I gave it a 2. Yeah. Again, Christmas movies, Bad Santa, Jingle All the Way, Home Alone, Miracle on 34th Street, Four Christmases. It Ends With Us was actually pretty decent. I thought it was, you guys know I'm a sucker for chick flicks. But the one that kind of I want to talk about, because everybody has Netflix nowadays, is Carry On. It's kind of been the movie that's like trending right now. It's being ranked up there with like Die Hard as far as action, suspense, Christmas movies.
Is it though?
It's not. Don't flatter yourself. And some of the performances are pretty good. A lot of people are praising like Taron Egerton, but you know what? Who really steals the show is Jason Bateman. Jason Bateman's really good in this movie. It's good. It's not great. I would at least give it a decent watch this holiday season if you guys are looking for something new to watch. I'd give it a 3 out of 5. So it's decent. So, Jay, what about you? Check anything out?
I've been watching a lot of YouTube documentaries on different movies. There's this channel that he produces like 6-hour documentaries, and so I've just been sitting there watching those. I've watched it over Freddy. I've watched it over Jason, Lord of the Rings. I haven't done the and Child's Play, and then I've been watching Big Bang Theory. I've probably watched that show half a dozen of times, and I just decided, hey, it's a comfort show. I'm going to rewatch it, and I'm on. I should be starting season 3 tonight. They're just getting back from the North Pole, and so hey, that's a little Christmassy. But hey, other than that, I watched Gremlins. I think that's the only movie I watched the entire week was Gremlins. The rest of the time, I just watched stuff on YouTube. So, but I do plan on getting into the Chucky series here pretty soon.
The TV show?
Oh, I've seen the TV show. I think I'm going to start from the beginning and watch Child's Play on.
Child's Play on. Sounds like a video game. So let's dig into what we're talking about today, guys. Let's not waste any more time. We're talking about Home Alone. Currently, right now on IMDb, it stands at a 7.7. Rotten Tomatoes at 66%. The Metascore is at 63%. The Letterboxd is at 3.8%. With a $18 million budget, it's grossed a little over $476 million at the box office, with a November 16th, 1990 release date.
I remember that time because I was alive during that.
Starring Macaulay Culkin, Joe Pesci, Daniel Stern, John Hurd, Catherine O'Hara. Directed by Chris Columbus and written by John Hughes. An 8-year-old troublemaker mistakenly left home alone must defend his home against a pair of burglars on Christmas Eve. Let's get into it. Ed, we'll start with you. Do you remember the first time you've seen it, and what was it like revisiting it for the podcast?
First time I've seen it, I do not remember, to be honest. Yeah, no, I don't remember the first time I seen it, to be honest. I was a teenager, I can tell you that. Yeah.
Damn.
Yeah. Revisiting for the podcast, didn't change too much. I mean, it's always kind of stuck in the same position for me, for that matter.
I remember seeing this on a recorded VHS tape that I guess my parents might have recorded, and they recorded the TV version. So instead of the movie being like an hour and 38 minutes, it was like an hour and 15 minutes. So some scenes were cut, all that kind of stuff. Some of the commercials were still recorded in there too. So that's what I can remember from watching it for the first time. Revisiting it for today, honestly, glancing back and forth at it right now and then watching it yesterday, I was just kind of like, it's all right. I can see why it's a classic. But to me, I was always a favorite of Home Alone 2. I think Home Alone 2 is far better than Home Alone. But we can get into that discussion. Jay, what about you? Do you remember the first time you seen it?
Yeah, I've seen it back in the winter of '91 at the $1.50 theater here in Oklahoma City. It's no longer with us no more, but I remember this movie coming out in 1990, and then the following year in 1991, it was still in theaters. And because, if I'm not mistaken, I read that it stayed number 1 for 12 weeks at number 1. And it finally hit the $1.50 theater, and that's when it was cheap enough for me to go see, so I went and seen it in the winter of '91. And I enjoyed it then, and I still enjoy it now because it just brings me back to those memories of being 8 years old. And here's a movie that just it encompasses a special time in my life. But I agree with you as well, Johnny. I think that Home Alone 2 is probably the better one.
But let's dig into it. Home Alone to me is like one of those movies that's like, there's so much to sit there and pick apart. There's so many answers that aren't given, but yet there's like so many questions that aren't asked either. But a lot of people are like, why does Home Alone work so well today compared to it also worked back then? You look at so many Christmas classics and so many Christmas movies on how they worked and the difference on why the movies that are coming out today, or even some that came out in the 90s, just didn't stick with you. And you guys can agree to disagree, but I think it all has to do with John Hughes. And
That's
it's
possible, man.
it's the writing of John Hughes, and it's the casting of not just one, not just two, maybe you can throw 3 or 4, but just pure, really good actors in a Christmas movie. Now, I mean,
That
sure,
came down to Chris Columbus there.
right, but now you got like movies like, let's say, Red One, or there's other Christmas movies where the budget is like $30 million and people just want to do it because it's fun and it's an action-packed movie and The Rock is in it. Back then, we're talking about, you have Joe Pesci, Daniel Stern, Catherine O'Hara, John
John
Hurt.
Hurd.
These are like, yeah, John Candy. These are actors who don't mind setting aside their egos to do a fun, well-written comedy. And I think that's why Home Alone works so good.
Well, they had to twist Joe Pesci's arm a little bit to get him to join.
I guarantee you, I mean, they probably would have had to twist both of them, but looking back at it, I don't think this thing works if he doesn't sign up for it.
I agree with you. And it does help the Macaulay Culkin, because whenever you get movies that star kids and everything, they tend to lack something, but Macaulay Culkin just had it.
Yeah.
They didn't have to cut around, how when they use kids in movies, they have to cut around their performance.
Yeah.
It was just long takes of just Macaulay Culkin doing his thing. And I thought that was another reason why this movie succeeds. And another main reason, I think, is the music. John Williams' score for this movie is beyond holiday classic to me. Because anytime I hear that, I'm like, oh, I know what's going on. Yep.
That in itself to this day is like its own Christmas song.
Right? That whole little piece that he does for the entire movie, yeah. I can hear any of that from John Williams and like, hell yeah, I feel the spirit now.
And it's like, you were talking about Macaulay Culkin and it just working. He has, they don't have to cut around him. He's like, man, if everything would have, I really do want to see what would have happened. I like where he's at now, though, professionally and personally, but I would have liked to see where things would have turned out if he just stayed on that acting slope and didn't go down that wrong path. I would have liked to see.
A lot of that's his parents' fault, though.
That's true, but it just happens to almost every one of them.
His parents were stealing his money, man.
But he had Home Alone 2, The Good Son, My Girl, Uncle Buck.
My Girl's one where, let's just say it.
A lot of people forget about Uncle Buck.
That's where he got his start at, was that movie, because John Hughes helped create that movie, and Christopher Columbus and him were like, hey, I had this kid in Uncle Buck, and maybe we could give him a shot. That's how Macaulay Culkin basically got the role of Kevin.
So, but I mean, the concept, though, him getting left home alone, falling asleep, getting in trouble, not getting the wake up call, and he comes downstairs and at first off it's like a party. You guys ever feel like that being left home alone?
Hell yeah, I did.
I was like, I can watch what I want.
See, when my mom, I was raised by a single mother, so whenever she left, I looked at it like this: I don't have a mom breathing down my neck. I can watch whatever I want. Like Ed said, I get to do whatever I want. I was a smoker back then at 12 years old, which is not good, but like, hell yeah, I can go smoke some cigarettes, My mom had a big ass stereo system, and she'd get mad because she'd come home and the neighbors were like, well, your son was listening to music real loud. And so I was one of those kids that just took it and like ran with it when I was left home alone.
Bro, see, I would make me some like movie snacks and shit like that. I mean, I would do a couple things, but nothing too big. But Dad was like, don't answer the phone if it's not me. Don't answer the door.
Well, see, you had caller ID. I didn't have that until later in life. So I was told not to answer the phone.
Uh-huh. I was just like, all right, cool. Like, he'd be out at the bar until like 2:00 or whatever, help close it down and shit. I'd be up till like 2:15, 2:20, and I'd just go into bed and die. Just conk out.
And we didn't even really talk about the main villain in this movie, played by Gary Bayman, Uncle Frank.
Frank's always been a dick.
Uncle Frank to me is like, man, I love the scene where he's like, if it makes you feel any better, I forgot my reading glasses.
Yeah, he's just a dick. I liked him in part two because without him in part two, Kevin wouldn't have that sound bite to where
Yeah.
he's able to get away with certain things at the hotel. Get out of here, you nose little pervert! I'll knock you silly.
He's another actor that you just kind of forget who's in there, and he's got some pretty good acting chops on him. It's almost like it's almost like the casting crew was like, let's just reach into our bag of mob films and pull out guys like John Hurd, Joe Pesci, Daniel Stern. I look back at this movie yesterday, and besides Joe Pesci and Daniel Stern's chemistry together, a lot of it was also like John Hurd. I do not appreciate the dad as much as I did in this recent watch.
What if the dad put a fucking hit on Kevin?
I read some of those fan theories too. There's also one like, what if he's just like a head mobster?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, speaking of Daniel Stern, his biggest claim to fame by this point was the narrator for the Wonder Years playing adult Kevin on the show. That's why I remember him from the most.
The Wonder Years. What about City Slickers?
I never seen that.
What?
And that was after this.
Yeah, that was like 93, 94.
91.
Oh, was it?
Yeah,
just
91.
after.
I'm thinking of two then.
Rookie of the Year was 93.
Oh yeah, he was Rookie of the Year. That's funny.
Christmas Story 2, Little Monsters, Blue Thunder,
Yeah, he
Chud,
played the dad in Little Monsters.
Bushwhacked.
I could just imagine them literally twisting Joe Pesci's arm, but I bet he got paid pretty good for this.
Yeah,
At least
probably
1990 money.
I guarantee he was probably the highest paid person on the cast.
I mean, rightfully so with all the movies he just got done wrapping up and probably being nominated for some Oscars around that time.
Because wasn't after this Goodfellas?
I think Goodfellas was same year. No, same year, 1990.
So yeah, he was very very high up in the top mock total poll.
He had already done Raging Bull before this. He was about to do My Cousin Vinny. I feel like this opened the doors for him to do My Cousin Vinny.
A Bronx Tale.
A Bronx Tale, yeah, that's a good one.
Because My Cousin Vinny is very funny, and he's very funny in it.
Yeah. But, yeah. What do you guys think about the other kids in the movie? I know they don't spend too much time on them, rightfully so. Whether they're not that good as far as acting goes, they spend more time on Buzz, which is the older brother who is the bully kind of. He's got the tarantula, which the tarantula plays a big factor in the movie.
I didn't realize they brought in his actual older brother or younger brother.
Oh, the little one who wets the
Kieran.
bed.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's one of the girls. I'm not mistaken if she's a sister. I think she plays a sister in the movie, but she later on went on and done this movie called Big Girl Don't Cry They Get Even. It's about a girl. Later they called it Step Kids. It was a weird one. If you had the Ninja Turtles 2 VHS tape, it was a trailer that played right before the movie started, and she was in that movie. So that's where I know her from. But Buzz was just a complete dick. Him and Uncle Frank were just dicks.
Huh.
Angela Goethals? Or, well, maybe Hillary Wolf.
The guy who...
Hillary Wolf.
Wolf?
Yeah.
Wolf?
Because that was just after this. That was in 91. Big Girls Don't Cry, They Get Even. That was just after this.
Does this movie make you guys want some cheese pizza?
Pizza for sure, not cheese, but pizza for sure.
Agreed.
And a Sunday too, or a banana split like he's eating in the movie, watching that dirty movie.
Which was funny. I always thought that was a real movie, but it's a movie made for Home Alone.
Angels
Oh,
and
no
Dirty
shit.
Souls.
Yeah. I always thought it was a real movie growing up. But what do you guys think Home Alone could be any gripes about the movie to where you're just like, you know what? 34 years later I could do it without that, or this is why I feel like Home Alone 2 is better, or I really disliked this time around the mom in this movie.
The mom's always been funny. Catherine O'Hara, she can never do wrong.
She's a good actress, but I just always thought in this movie, I was like, really, that poor French lady's on the phone, and you're just gonna come snatch the phone away from her and hang up on her
Well, how would you
her
react if
phone
you left your
call?
kid home alone and you're in France and he's in Chicago? How would you react?
I still have to put myself in check. She looks like she's entitled. The way she's talking to the police officers on the phone, I'm like, calm down, lady. Like, geez, a little sense of entitlement there. Like, you're the one who left your kid home alone, not the police officers.
Well, I just
Not
found it funny that she wanted the police to go check on him, not take him and put him in, protective custody or anything like that, or hold on to him. Just check on him.
yeah.
But I don't have any real gripes about the movie. I just like the setting of two better because there was a little bit more. He goes to the toy store in part two. He visits Central Park, and in this one he just goes to the store. He robs them of a toothbrush, and then he buys groceries, and they fall, and then that there's not much more to the. I always thought that there was more stuff being done to the burglars than there was, but really, in reality, that's only the last 20 minutes of the movie. The rest of it's him just being home alone.
Yeah. What did you guys? So I found this little fun fact because they posted every Christmas when Home Alone's airing and stuff about how what he bought at the store that day was $19.83, and in 2022 it moved up to $44.40, and then this year it's a whopping $72.28.
So in 2 years, it jumped another what, 40
No.
bucks?
And it consisted of a half a gallon of milk, a half a gallon of orange juice, a TV dinner, bread, frozen macaroni and cheese, laundry detergent, cling wrap, toilet paper, and a pack of Army Men and dryer sheets.
Bro, cut all that. From 1990 to 2022, that's 32 years. It jumped double plus dollar or so. Not even 2 years later, it almost doubled again. Not even 2 fucking years later, dude.
That's funny.
That is insane.
Let's talk about some of the traps. So some of the traps in the movie are real clever, and I kind of wanted to know, like, man, what do you guys think? It makes the last 15, 20 minutes just fly by because you're like just oohing and on over everything he's doing with these guys. But man, the facial expressions, everything that Joe Pesci and Daniel Stern do just completely sell all the little tricks.
Bro, they sent that little mug to like a freaking school for that crap. Okay, ain't no regular. He's what, 11 in this shit?
He's 10.
10? Ain't no average ass 10-year-old.
He might be 11. I don't know.
Ain't no average ass 10-year-old whipping up all of that shit.
Well, his family's pretty wealthy,
and it certainly ain't gonna be whipping up all that shit.
So he's got it.
They did kind of set it up early in the movie that he'd been out at the garage fucking dad's tools and stuff.
Yeah,
that's what I'm saying right there. Like, they sent him to some classes for some shit.
There's this YouTube channel that proposes, how badly they would have gotten hurt. Like, they take all different kinds of movies and they sit there and they grade them on how medically how somebody would be messed up by that. And they're basically saying if they would have got hit in the face with the paint cans, they'd have been dead.
I don't know about dead, but it would have been a pretty good concussion in a fucked up face.
Rightfully so.
Like, I've got it. Okay, so I've got a little cousin that literally took a trailer hitch to the face at like 8 miles an hour, legitly, back when he was like 10 or 11 years old. He had to have a little bit of surgery here and there, but he's still good today.
I hit myself in the. I was trying to play golf with a basketball and a crowbar, and I swung at the basketball, and it bounced off the basketball and smashed me right in the face, dude.
Dude, I can't count how many times this dude has threw a ball when I don't have these on, and I've just gotten hit in the face with a football or something like that. Like, there was so many times we were just playing, and I wasn't that great of a catcher anyways. So that being half blind, not good.
You know what Trap always like kind of made me cringe was where he puts the glass bulbs out and Marv steps on them. I'm just like, ooh.
Well, that's after he just stepped on that nail with the tar.
That nail, yeah.
And
my favorite Trap though is part 2 whenever he gets the bricks thrown at him. That was brutal.
Oh,
dude,
those they would have died.
I've had a nail in the foot. That shit don't feel good. That shit does not feel good at all.
Just a few months ago, actually, I was at a friend's house wearing my flip-flops, and I went around the side of the house to use the bathroom, and it was dark out, and I didn't see this stack of wood, and I stepped on it. It had 3 nails go on my foot at the same time. I was like, oh, shit. And I went over there limping.
I had about an inch and a half or so of a nail go into my heel once when I was about 16. I was limping for a few weeks.
And they say an inch doesn't matter.
Oh, it does. It's all the motion of the ocean there, man.
So another scene that's kind of like I feel like underrated in this whole thing is when they're going through and messing with the house, and they think the McAllisters are still home, but they hear the voice message of Peter asking them to like check on the house that they're in Paris. But it's just fun because like Marv is just going over there and just breaking stuff and rearranging, and Joe Pesci's like, "Can you keep it down?" It's like those two are just like anytime those two are on screen together, to me that's like the highlight of the movie.
Yeah,
they're
the wet bandits.
Well, they get that name because Marv sits there and puts rags and shit in all their sinks and turns them on. Because they become the sticky bandits in part 2.
Which I agree. I like the argument that they have where Harry is calling Marv sick. And he's like, I'm not sick. Why am I sick? And he's like, yeah, that's a sick thing to do. And which is true. I think, Joe Pesci's a professional. He's in it for the fines, for the gets. See what I did there, Leo Gets? You guys know where that's from? No, come on.
Leo, oh shit,
From Lethal Weapon 2.
I should have known that. I've seen, but it's been so long since I've seen Lethal Weapon.
Leo, he to me again, a whole nother franchise. He's the best part of those movies. I feel like. Sorry,
I like Mel a lot.
This is just turning into a Joe Pesci love fest.
Hey, he was great in Casino. I love that movie.
Oh man, I could talk about Joe Pesci for a long time. That's pretty. That's another thing. This movie made me just feel like he's good.
Hey, we're not gonna have somebody like him in our later lives. Once he's gone, that's it.
It's hard to believe he's already in his 90s.
Damn.
I'm pretty sure. Let me double check, but I'm pretty sure when I was doing the homework for
81, Joe Pesci
81?
is 81.
Okay, he's in his
February
80s.
9th, he'll turn 82.
That's still pretty old.
He's still an old bastard.
Did you ever see that movie he was in called 8 Heads in a Duffel Bag, where he plays a hitman and he has 8 heads in a duffel bag?
It sounds familiar though.
And then there was another one where he inherits this building, and he's the landlord, and it's called The Super. That was a comedy with him.
I remember the comedy with him and Danny Glover about fishing.
Gone Fishing.
Yeah. And the only reason I know that is because I had to watch it before Godzilla came on in the drive-in.
The 98 version?
Yeah, the drive-in was Gone Fishing, Godzilla, and what's that Baby Spice movie? Spice World.
Oh, I see. I actually liked it.
Yeah.
Weirdly enough.
What do you guys think about just like the the older guy who his brother was like, oh, that's this some kind of murderer or something. How he's
where he takes
bucket
kills everybody and then he uses their bones as ice melt.
salt.
Yeah. Yeah, I always thought that was a cool little part of the movie because it's one of those urban legend things. When you're a kid, you sit there and you see something strange, or you just don't understand it, and you have older people trying to just kind of give you their take on what's going on instead of the reality of the situation. That's what I always seen that as.
And then it ends up being like his guardian angel at the end of the movie. You know, he sees him at the church. He goes and he talks to him there. They both kind of give each other some advice, and then it's time to eat that macaroni and cheese dinner and fight the bad guy.
Get the macaroni and cheese. He's getting ready to start eating, and the bell chimes. It's like, oh shit, it's time to go.
I saw a video today about a guy's reaction was like, "Why are you doing that? Why just finish the macaroni and cheese?"
Well, they said they'd be there at 9:00. That doesn't mean they're going to be on time or they're going to be late. So he had to just be ready to go whenever 9:00 struck.
I don't know about you guys, but I could never eat macaroni and cheese like that by itself.
I have.
I don't like mac and cheese much.
I see. I don't either. It has to be like, it has to be just. I don't know.
I have to be in the right kind of attitude for it.
I grew up poor, so macaroni and cheese was a staple of mine in my house. So,
bro, the beans.
That's just gross.
Beans, okay? Exactly, okay?
Yes, don't be harping on beans. I got a can of pork and beans in there right now.
No, not pork.
And some beanie weenies.
A bag of beans that you put in a pot and just cook that shit.
What are you talking about? That's good eating right there.
I hated it when I was a kid, dude, because we had it almost twice a week, legitly.
Put it up in the crock pot, put some salt on there. I don't even need any ham in there, just the beans itself.
The only reason I was cool with it was because Dad made some good-ass cornbread with it.
So that's what I was about to say. I can only eat it, really, if there's a cornbread attached to it, because it just changes the taste and consistency of everything.
Yes, sir. 100%, man.
There's a can of pork and beans in there right now. I'll open them up right now and eat them out the can. I love some beans. Yep. So, but I could never get my frozen macaroni and cheese dinner to look like that in the microwave. I don't know what Kevin did, but he's got the golden touch.
Well, that's because you don't follow the instructions, probably. You had the microwave up too high.
I also want to know, in what millennium does a half a gallon of milk serve that big ass family?
Well, I think
he wasn't getting it for them. He was getting it for him. Exactly. Shit. He said, fuck y'all. Y'all left me. I'm going to eat.
See, I'm the type of guy that I would have needed a gallon of milk because I can eat cereal. I'm in my 40s now, and I still love me a good bowl of cereal.
Captain Crunch.
Oh, yeah.
Cocoa Krispies.
I buy the generic stuff in the bag, and I love that shit.
Fucking.
Oh, yeah. I eat like a child sometimes, still in my 40s, so.
I mean, early 30s, but yeah, I agree.
We're 40 minutes into the episode almost, and we haven't brought up John Candy yet. Absolutely love that cameo from John Candy, and he's actually the lifesaver for helping the mom get home to see Kevin.
Oh yeah, it was just it was one of those. He worked like 1 or 2 days for John Hughes because it was a request from John Hughes. So, hey, come on in, and there's this role for you if you want it.
What do you guys think? A lot of people are calling it, there's so much praise about John Candy. And I mean, like, God, you go back and look at some of his older stuff and even some of his stuff before he passed away. He's just so funny and just so genuine in a lot of the stuff he does. Where do you think he probably would have ended up? Like, do you think he would have tried to do some more serious stuff? Or do you think he would have just maybe started his own production company? Or what do you think would have happened with John Candy?
I think he would have done something dramatic just to see if stretch his resume out a little bit.
I think he'd be pretty big in the industry. I mean,
Hell, I even think he might have directed a couple comedies in his time.
Oh, easily.
Just taking all the people that he's worked with, because I know one of his favorite people to work with was Eugene Levy. I don't know if you guys know who he is.
Yeah, he's the dad from American Pie.
Exactly. And he also done the show Schitt's Creek. And I've seen the first couple seasons of that. That was actually really good. So I could honestly see John Candy having a role in that show.
You know, with the dude who did Spaceballs, of course. Stripes. Like, he did a lot of good hard comedies, man. He really did. Uncle Buck.
And I feel like he died right in the prime. Like, he was just 43 years old. He died in 94, I believe. And I'm just like...
Wagons East at the time.
Huh?
He was making the movie Wagons East.
And it's just like so strange because you have that stint of comedy. We talked about it a few weeks ago with the Robin Williams episode. You have that stint of comedy that just isn't around anymore. And it's like, man, it would have been really fun to see where he would have ended up at and what he would have ended up doing, you know.
Dude, I mean, I know he has nothing to do with this movie, but it's like him and Chris Farley. Like, those two dudes. Holy shit.
Well, one of the things that I think that helped John Candy out a lot was that he was good with being, you know, you give him a character, you give him a premise of a character and an outline, and then he just ran with what he was given, you know. So he was just, like with Uncle Buck, a lot of that shit was ad-lib.
Yeah.
You know? So,
and there's not a ton of actors that can do that well.
You know, you have an hour and 40-minute movie, and 90% of the screen time you're on it, it's just shit that you happen to say that wasn't even in the script.
Yeah,
that turned out to be better than the script.
Yeah. But we can put the final nail in the coffin with Home Alone. The ending work for you guys?
I thought I delivered.
Like you said, it's a classic. I mean, it wraps up nicely.
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah, me too.
It's one of those movies to where it's like, if you haven't seen it, you need to see it at least once. It doesn't have to be your favorite movie. It doesn't need to be your favorite kid movie. It doesn't need to be your favorite Christmas movie, but it's definitely worth at least a couple hours, sit down, watch it properly, go from there. And I mean, whatever you think about Macaulay Culkin or anybody in this movie with whatever they did in the past, whatever they're doing now, let that shit go and just enjoy a movie. I mean,
I honestly want to sit there and watch Home Alone 2 just because it's not a full holiday season unless I see like Home Alone 1 and 2, the Santa Claus, Tim Allen. You know, that doesn't equal Christmas for me until I see some of those.
See, man, yeah, Santa Claus, Krampus.
Hell, even the night before Christmas, I don't mind watching.
Juan might not like this from me, but 8 Crazy Nights.
Oh, the Adam Sandler movie?
Always love that shit. Always one of my favorites. I was fighting for that one for a while early on in the game.
Well, we'll get to do it next year for sure.
But
Christmas in July.
It's a technical foul. But yeah, this one should definitely be on the list of must watch at least once. At least once.
I know that Macaulay Culkin got paid pretty decently for this movie, and for the second one he got even more. So he got like a couple $1 million for the second movie.
And he just finished up his Home Alone tour, so you were able to join a special screening to watch Home Alone with Macaulay Culkin, and he was able to do a Q&A after the movie, and it wrapped up in November of this year. So he's actually doing really, really well for himself. So
34 years later, holy shit.
Yep. So, but let's get to a favorite scene. Jay, you want to go first? You got a favorite scene?
Yeah, I got a couple of them. The scene where he's sitting there having a sundae or banana split, whatever it is, and he's sitting there watching that movie, and freaks out, and you get that moment where he screams "mom," and his mom just kind of like, being a mother, just kind of like hears it. You know, that's the way the scene to me plays. It's like he screams, and she's like, "Holy shit!" there's something not right, and then that's when she sits there like, oh fuck, we let Kevin at home. But
spider sense is tingling.
Exactly, that right there where she's, and then the entire last part of the movie where I know it's not just, I look at it as one big scene where they're getting the shit kicked out of them, and I love that entire portion of the movie from the time that they step on the nail, they get their head burnt and shit, their hand burnt, and then they step on the micro machines, the paint cans to the face, and then the spider, everything. Oh, just love it. I could watch that last 15, 20 minutes anytime I want. You know what I mean? It's just one of those I could just throw it on and watch.
I like the scene where he gets the pizza through using the movie. I like the same thing.
The cops called on him then. So.
Yeah. I also like the scene where he's putting up the Christmas tree ornaments, and Joe Pesci catches him actually being home alone. He's like, "Dad, come help me." And then the scene where he's checking out at the grocery store, and he's got a coupon for the orange juice.
Just he's more older than what he is.
Yeah. I like all the stuff leading up to the ending of the extravaganza, pretty much. So, who's next? Ed, favorite scene?
I'd kind of say with the hijinks when all the little traps start going off, and just I think that was hilarious. It's always kind of a laugh because it's like, okay, how long would this actually take to set all this up? How perfect do you have to have it? And all that kind of stuff goes through my head during that. But I've always thought that was funny. I liked it quite a bit. So I'd say all the traps getting launched, if you will.
Nice. Star rating 1 out of 4. If you have not heard this podcast before, we do a 1 out of 5. 1 being the absolute most of a shit show, and 5 being the best of the best of the best.
Sure.
So I'm going to give this movie a 4. I'm going to sit there right at a 4. I think this is a good watch. I agree. I have to at least watch it once or twice every Christmas time. But it's not. Well, I guess if I had to just do a go-to, I'd pick Home Alone 2 still. So I give this one a 4.
It's a good one, but it's not the go-to.
Yeah.
I'd go ahead and do a little lower, 3.5. I'm not going to go out of my way to watch it, but I'm not going to go ahead and cry about it if it's on. It's watchable for sure. I definitely won't, but it's never been high on my list of dude, gotta watch that, man. Yeah. It's good. It's good.
Well, it came out the year you guys were born. So.
Nope. I was a year later.
You were 91. He was 90, so it came out.
Yep.
I was 8 years old when this movie came out, so I'm gonna go ahead and give it a 4 as well. But this is one of those movies that I grew up with as a kid. Like I said, it came out in November of '90, and all the way to November of '91, it was still in theaters. And it was like that's unheard of today, and it just had that instant classic appeal when I was a kid. That everybody knew about it, even adults knew about it. They wanted to. They loved it too because it was a good Christmas movie. The last Christmas movie that we pretty much got was A Christmas Story.
That's the thing too, though. I think a lot of that has to do with adults wanting to go see it because of John Hurd, Joe Pesci, those were actors that were just I don't think this thing succeeds like this if it wasn't for those guys.
See, with me, I always kind of line this up with Blank Check, if y'all know that one.
I've seen that theaters.
Mm-hmm. And not necessarily that they're the same kind of. It's not that. It's just what does a kid do on his own? What does a kid do with pretty much an unlimited amount of money? You know what I mean? And they're definitely different, 100% different. But it's still kind of that little, I wonder what would happen kind of thing.
Well, I kind of think the Blank Check, still had that this Home Alone with $1 million.
Yeah. And I mean that right there is like, yeah, he just spent like not even $20 on groceries and toiletries and stuff like that, but at the same time, like, how much was there, you know? Because most kids would have been like, $20, I'm getting pizza for like 3 days. Let's go, you know. But this kid,
Well, that's just with him going grocery shopping, though. That just shows how much more mature he is for his age.
Yep.
That, you know, he might be left home alone, but he can handle it. You know, he went out and bought groceries, you know, toiletries and shit like that. So that makes him appeal a little bit older to the parental audience.
Yeah.
If you ask me.
Because I mean, don't get me wrong, most kids would have been like ice cream and this and that, and like,
That's what I'm saying. You know, the parents of the audience would probably ask themselves, "Will my kid buy those things, or will my kid buy junk?"
yeah,
You know, but he even though he bought, you know, the stuff that he needed to buy for the house, he still bought him some Army Men, though. You know, he still bought him something. You know, hey, it's for the kids. You know, yeah, but he still bought him something to play with.
Yep.
Yeah. Next week, just a heads up, we will not have an episode next week. First time in the entire lineage of this podcast. No episode next week. We're going to enjoy Christmas Eve. We're going to just enjoy the time off. So no episode next week at all. We will return in 2 weeks, December 31st, New Year's Eve for Nosferatu. It'll be in theaters on Christmas Day. Go check it out. That's our next episode, Tuesday, December 31st. Before you go get lit and bring in the new year, listen to the conversation that we're going to have with Nosferatu. Or just don't go out at all. Stay in and listen to the podcast. Watch the podcast.
Or go to a party, have our podcast on at the party.
This Thursday, 2 days from today, December the 19th, we will discuss Smile 2 on Friday the 14th podcast. Go check it out. It's streaming now on Paramount Plus, I believe. Smile 2 is what we're talking about this Thursday night, 8 o'clock, Facebook Live, and this YouTube channel right here, Amos Waugh Productions YouTube channel. So, guys, other than that, January is right around the corner. We're going to have a huge January. We kick off the year with Alien Romulus, and then we continue with The Lincoln Lawyer, which our entire 2025 year is dedicated to Matthew McConaughey and is dedicated to Adam Sandler. So we'll be talking about Billy Madison on the week 3 of January. And then the final week of January, we'll be talking about The Wild Robot. So 4 movies. The entire January is mapped out. It's going to be fun mapping out the rest of the year. I can't wait to see what we dig into. February 1st, the first episode of February. That is February the 7th. No, wait, what is that? Hold on. February the 4th. We will be talking about, we're going to hurry up, get it over with. We're talking about our top 5 plus 5 movies of 2024. So it should be fun. Our year-end review, we're going to be handing out some awards. Our favorite movie of the year, our worst movie of the year. So yeah, go check it out. That is February the 4th. Yeah. Should be fun.
There was some real
guys,
shit movies this year, so that's going to be a fun one to talk about.
It should be, yeah. So go check it out. Anything you guys want to add before we take a little vacation and take a week off?
Enjoy your holidays, everyone out there in podcast land.
Yeah.
Try to make it to the next year, okay? That because people do stupid shit around New Year's.
Yeah, man. Happy holidays. You're wanted here. You're loved by someone. You're thought of by someone. Talk to people if you have anything going on. Be smart. Don't do something too stupid. Keep it classy. Keep it classy.
Live long and prosper. Watch movies. Nosferatu 2 weeks. New Year's Eve, 7 p.m. Have a Merry Christmas, guys. Be safe.